What if the one mistake you swore would never resurface was already waiting for you when you got home? On The Young and the Restless, Audra Charles and Holden Novak have spent months pretending their shared history is exactly that, history. But secrets have a way of surviving long after relationships end. Now, strange encounters, nervous glances, and unexplained tension suggest that something far bigger than an old romance is lurking beneath the surface. Whatever Holden and Audra left behind, it didn't stay buried. And if the truth comes out, it could shatter careers, destroy relationships, and expose a side of Audra that Genoa City has never seen before. Hashtag, the secret Holden and Audra can't leave behind. Followed them home on Y&R. Few things drive a soap opera storyline better than a secret from the past. The Young and the Restless has built decades of drama on hidden truths, forgotten betrayals, and shocking revelations that arrive at the worst possible moment. But what makes the growing mystery surrounding Holden and Audra so compelling is that viewers still don't know exactly what they're hiding. What we do know is that something isn't right. Every conversation between them carries an undercurrent of tension. Every attempt to move forward seems interrupted by reminders of a past they desperately want to leave behind. And perhaps, most tellingly, neither Holden nor Audra appears comfortable discussing what really happened before Genoa City became their battleground. The mystery itself has become the story. Audra has spent years reinventing herself. She arrived in Genoa City determined to prove she could compete with the most powerful players in town. Unlike many residents who inherited family legacies, Audra built her reputation through ambition, intelligence, and an almost ruthless determination to succeed. But reinvention only works when the past stays buried. Holden's arrival complicated everything. At first glance, he seemed like little more than a reminder of a previous chapter in Audra's life. Yet the more time they spent around one another, the more obvious it became that their connection involved something much deeper than an old romance. Former lovers can usually explain their awkwardness. Former partners who share a dangerous secret often cannot. That's what has fans asking questions. Why do both of them become defensive whenever discussions turn toward their shared history? Why does Holden seem simultaneously protective of Audra and frustrated with her? And why does Audra, who normally fears nothing, appear genuinely worried whenever Holden gets too close to revealing the truth? Those reactions suggest a secret with consequences. The possibility that Holden and Audra participated in something questionable before arriving in Genoa City has become one of the most intriguing theories among viewers. Whether it involved business, betrayal, or someone they hurt along the way, the emotional weight they carry feels larger than a simple failed relationship. What if someone else knows the truth? Soap opera history teaches us that secrets rarely remain hidden because of the people keeping them. They explode because a third party discovers them. Imagine someone arriving in Genoa City with evidence. Imagine documents, messages, photographs, proof. Suddenly, everything Holden and Audra worked to build could collapse overnight. For Audra, the stakes would be enormous. Her entire identity revolves around control. She carefully manages how others perceive her. She projects confidence even during moments of vulnerability. She has survived professional setbacks, romantic disappointments, and personal betrayals because she understands how to stay one step ahead. But secrets create a different kind of danger. You can't negotiate with the truth. You can't manipulate evidence. You can't outmaneuver facts once they become public. That reality could leave Audra facing her greatest challenge yet. What's especially fascinating about this storyline is how it reveals a side of Audra rarely seen on screen. Viewers typically see her as confident and strategic. Holden sees something else. He sees the woman she was before Genoa City. He knows the decisions she regrets. He understands the fears she hides. And that knowledge gives him power, not necessarily because he wants to hurt her, but because he possesses something nobody else has: context. Every character has a version of themselves they present to the world. Holden knows Audra's unedited version. That's dangerous. The dynamic becomes even more interesting when considering Holden's motivations. If he truly cares about Audra, protecting the secret might seem logical. Yet carrying a burden for years can create resentment. People eventually grow tired of protecting someone else's reputation while risking their own. Could Holden reach that breaking point? The possibility feels increasingly likely. Imagine months of tension finally erupting during a heated confrontation. Words are exchanged, old wounds reopen. Then suddenly, one of them says too much. The confession escapes before either realizes the damage. That single moment could change everything. Another intriguing aspect involves how this secret could impact Audra's current relationships. Trust remains one of the rarest commodities in Genoa City. People forgive affairs, they forgive lies, sometimes they even forgive crimes. What they struggle to forgive is discovering someone has been deceiving them from the beginning. If Audra's closest allies learn she concealed a major truth, their reactions could be devastating. Not necessarily because of what happened, but because she never trusted them enough to tell them. That's often the real tragedy in soap operas. The secret itself matters less than the betrayal people feel after discovering it. Consider how many relationships have ended, not because of the original mistake, but because of the cover-up that followed. Audra understands this. That's why her anxiety feels genuine. She's not merely protecting information, she's protecting an entire future. The timing also couldn't be worse. Audra has spent significant energy establishing herself as a serious player in Genoa City's corporate and social circles. Any scandal threatens more than personal happiness. It threatens credibility, and credibility is everything. Once people begin questioning your honesty, every achievement becomes suspect. Every success becomes questionable. Every relationship becomes fragile. That's why the mystery surrounding Holden continues gaining momentum. The audience senses that the consequences extend far beyond two former lovers. This secret has the potential to affect multiple lives. It could reshape alliances. It could create new enemies. It could revive old rivalries. Most importantly, it could force both Holden and Audra to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves. The best soap stories aren't really about secrets. They're about accountability. Eventually, every character reaches a crossroads where they must decide whether continuing the lie is worth the cost. Audra appears dangerously close to that moment. Part of her undoubtedly wants freedom. Keeping secrets is exhausting. Maintaining alternate versions of reality requires constant vigilance. One mistake can expose years of deception. The temptation to finally tell the truth must be growing stronger. Yet confession carries risks of its own. Once spoken, the truth cannot be taken back. Once revealed, it belongs to everyone. That fear may explain why Audra continues walking a dangerous line between honesty and self-preservation. Meanwhile, Holden remains the wild card. Unlike Audra, he appears less invested in maintaining appearances. That unpredictability makes him dangerous. The person who has less to lose often becomes the one most willing to expose everything. If Holden reaches a point where silence no longer feels worthwhile, Audra's carefully constructed world could collapse overnight. And perhaps that's what makes this storyline resonate. Everyone understands the fear of being judged for their past. Everyone has moments they wish they could erase. Everyone wonders what would happen if their worst decisions suddenly became public knowledge. The Holden and Audra mystery taps into that universal anxiety. How much of our present depends on people never learning who we used to be? As Genoa City moves toward the inevitable revelation, one thing feels certain. Whatever Holden and Audra left behind did not stay behind. It followed them. It waited patiently. And now it appears ready to demand payment. When the truth finally emerges, the fallout may prove even bigger than fans imagine. Relationships could end, alliances could crumble, reputations could be destroyed. But perhaps the most devastating consequence will be realizing that the past never truly disappeared. It was simply waiting for the perfect moment to come home. And for Holden and Audra, that moment may have finally arrived.